Hello, everybody, and welcome to Observations from the Fence Post. I am Robert, and today I'm going to be doing an album review. And the album I have chosen is the debut album by the band Yes. Now, Yes is one of my favorite bands, and I've seen them live many times. And this is one of the bands where I happen to own their entire studio collection and as many compilations and live albums as I've found. But anyway, today we're going to focus on where it all began. Now, this album was released in 1969. The band itself formed in August of 1968, and they kind of came from the two different things that kind of merged together. Okay, the first one was there was a band called Mabel Greer's Toy Shop, and this band featured Christopher Squire on bass and Peter Banks on guitar. Now, they played at the Marquee Club, and one of the owners there was a guy by the name of Jack Berry. And Jack Berry had known another guy by the name of John Anderson, who was with a band called The Warriors, and then who had also done a single as a solo artist under the name Hans Christian Andersen. So Jack thought that introducing John to Chris would be a good idea, and sure enough, they hit it off, and John was kind of invited into Mabel Greer's toy shop. Okay. From then, they were looking around, and they found a ad in Melody Maker that had been placed by a drummer by the name of Bill Bruford, who was looking for a band. So they met Bill, and sure enough, he was invited into the fold. And Chris felt that they needed a keyboard player to help round out the sound, and he remembered someone he had met years before by the name of Tony Kaye. He hooked up with Tony, and boom, the band was formed. Now, Peter Banks came up with the initial name of the band, Yes. He liked the fact that it was short and sweet and could fit on a poster with no problems. And he kind of got the idea from one of my other favorite bands, The Who, because their two words, the and who, were able to be in big font and really pop out on a poster. And Peter Banks thought that would help his band. And so the name Yes came up as a suggestion from Peter, and Yes was born. So the lineup we have is John Anderson on vocals and some percussion, Peter Banks on guitars, Chris Squire on bass, Bill Bruford on drums and percussion, and Tony Kaye on keyboards and piano. And this is their debut album, again, self-titled, Yes, and it was released on Atlantic Records. This right here is the British cover that you can see, just a simple version of the word yes in a spoken word bubble. And this is the American cover. As you can see, it's got a picture of the band. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. So songs on the record include Beyond and Before. That was the first song on the record, side one, the first song. And it was a holdover from Mabel Greer's Toy Shop. The next song was a cover of a song by the Byrds called I See You. It was extended, kind of help introducing Yes as part of the early progressive rock movement and a genre of the rock movement that they would become well known for. And a lot of that came from the fact that they had extended things. And this is one early example of taking a song and extending the length. The third song on the record is Yesterday and Today. It's a little bit of a softer song, what we might even consider to be a ballad. And the fourth song on the record is a song called Looking Around. Now, Looking Around is my favorite song on the record. It's full of great interplay between Tony on keys and Peter on guitar. And it's just a high octane, high energy, fast moving song. And to me, it grabs you and from start and to finish. And that winds up side one of the debut album. So you flip it over to side two, and we have the first song on side two. The fifth song on the record is Harold Land. Now, Harold Land was named after a jazz singer, although the song has nothing to do with that singer. Now, I have a friend, Steve Hansen, who is a fellow Yes fan, and we go to a lot of the shows together, and we joke around a lot about how we really need to see Harold Land live in concert. Don't think it will happen, but that's kind of an ongoing joke between me and Steve. So anyway, hi, Steve. So the next song on the record is the sixth song on the record, and it is also a cover. And it's a cover of a song by the Beatles called Every Little Thing. And it's a really nice cover, just full of just vigor and fun. And again, extended compared to the Beatles' length. Okay. The seventh song on the record is a song called Sweetness. And that was kind of the first song that John and Chris collaborated on to complete for the new record. A song called Sweetness. Very soft, very ballady. Not my favorite song on the record, but not a bad song. And the last song, the eighth song on the record that ends the initial release, is a song called Survival. I think it has some of those progressive rock roots that Yes would become known for in later years. Some of those roots can be seen in this song, Survival. It's a good song, a great way to end it. More of a high-octane rocker of a song, and it ends out the record pretty strongly. So that is the debut album by Yes. Now, many years later, during the CD days, Rhino remastered the album and added some tracks. There were 3 songs, and each song had 2 versions that were included on the extra tracks. So those 3 songs are Every Days. There are 2 versions of this song, and this song would later appear on Yes's second record called Time in a Word. So we get 2 early versions, actually an early version and a single version of Every Days. We then get 2 versions of the song Dear Father. There is another version of Dear Father where most of us heard it for the first time on a compilation record called Yesterdays. And then the third song that has 2 versions on this remastered and updated version is Something's Coming. Now, Something's Coming came from the musical West Side Story. So there's 2 versions of that song on the remastered Rhino version. So that kind of wraps up the Yes debut as a whole. I'd like to read something that was included on the back of the record. It was a review by Tony Wilson of Melody Maker. Actually, not a review, but kind of more of a prediction. And I'll kind of sum it up, but he wrote the following. At the beginning of 1969, I was asked, as were all Melody Maker writers, to pick 2 groups who I thought would make it in the following year. One of my choices was Led Zeppelin, a bit obvious perhaps, but then we all like to back a winner occasionally. The other was Yes. I just heard them in a London discotheque where all too often the groups tend to be over-amplified and under-talented. Yes were not. They had much more. So anyway, that's a snippet of what is included on the back of the record. So anyway, again, this is the debut record for Yes. It's going to appeal mostly to Yes fans, Yes fan completists. It's the songs on this record don't get the standard radio play that other Yes songs do. Unfortunately, I think Peter Banks is easily overshadowed by the whole catalog, which is a shame because this lineup did 2 full records. They did the Yes debut, and they did the second Yes record, Time in a Word. And without those 2 records, there would not be a Yes. So we owe this lineup, including Peter Banks, a thank you. And one reason I'm mentioning Peter Banks is no longer with us. He was the first member in Yes history to pass away. Okay. Also, I would be remiss to also not honor Chris Squire, who also has passed away. So 2 of the founding members of Yes have passed away. In fact, currently in the Yes lineup, there are none of the original members in the current Yes lineup that is still touring and making records. So anyway, as you can probably notice by the year, if this came out in 1969, that means in 2019, this record, celebrated its 50th anniversary, and that's something to be pretty excited about. That's amazing that any band can last 50 years and have their records still sought out by many people 50 years later. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me, the warts and all. I appreciate it. I'd like to end as I do all of my observations from the fence post. Keep it between the ditches and peace. And please, if you like the video, hit like. And if you'd like to subscribe to Observations from the Fence Post, that would be appreciated too. Hopefully these videos get better in the future. Hopefully I can get toward the point where I'm editing and don't have some of these mishaps like this video. But thank you for sticking it through. You have a great day, and peace.